For the last part of the talk, I will be talking about diet and how we can use it as a mean to actually influence the gut microbiome maturation. So I will start with showing you some evidence that diet is indeed a good way to impact the gut microbiome development. And I will start with these first studies that we already discussed, looking at vaginally versus C-section born infant and how they differ in terms of microbiome composition. What the researcher also did here is to collect a certain number of metadata and information on those child and try to see how those information could be relevant in explaining the composition of their gut microbiome at 4 days, 7 days, 21 days, and then after 1 year old. And what they identified is that breastfeeding, that is in the square in red, was actually an important variable in explaining how the composition of the gut microbiome of those infants was. Here is a second graph that shows a very similar picture, where this time they looked at 800 infants in the US and EU at different age, so you can see all the age being pictured from left to right, and they also observed that breastfeeding was an important variable and even the most important variable between 3 and 6 years old in influencing the composition of the gut microbiome of this infant. The second aspect beside breastfeeding was that solid food also appeared as an important element in determining how the microbiome was shaped in those infants. Okay, so we saw that diet can influence the maturation of the microbiome. However, there are several challenges that need to be considered before we move forward. And here what we wanted to represent is actually the fact that we know that diet influences microbiome, but we don't know to which extent. And what you have pictured is in a study in adults, they looked at the different environmental variables and their effect on microbiome composition, and in orange you have the average weight of diet impact on the composition of the gut microbiome. And you can see that actually this is not that much. It's less than 10% of the variance of the microbiome in the population that can be explained by diet. And this is mostly due to the fact that we don't capture diet maybe in a way that is optimal to be able to characterize its effect on the microbiome.